The galaxy had long been filled with many species, many rulers, and many empires. But Earth had always remained an outlier, a planet on the edge, known by few and respected by even fewer. However, that all began to change when the great King Zoreth, ruler of the largest empire in the galaxy, passed away. His death sent shockwaves throughout the stars, leaving his empire in disarray. His throne was empty, and the galaxy was watching to see who would claim it. Among the chaos of succession, there was one thing that stood out, a surprising clause in King Zoreth's will. The king had left behind a mysterious decision. The throne would go not to any royal heir or powerful general, but to a single human, a being from Earth. Many across the galaxy laughed at the idea. How could a human, a species they had long ignored and even mocked, inherit a throne that once ruled over entire star systems? The idea seemed absurd, laughable. Humans were known for their short lifespans and small planet. They had no significant technology or powers to match the other species in the galaxy. How could they possibly be worthy of the king's legacy? But as the days passed, the ruling council of Zoreth's empire made their decision. They had to honor the king's will, even if it was a joke to them. After all, King Zoreth had been a powerful and clever ruler, and he wouldn't have made such a decision lightly. So, the search began for this mysterious human heir. Alex Sanders, a young man from Earth, had no idea that his life was about to change forever. He was an ordinary man, no great warrior, no genius diplomat. He worked as a technician on a spaceship, fixing the engines and ensuring everything ran smoothly. He had always dreamed of exploring the stars, but it was just that, a dream. The farthest he'd ever been from Earth was in low orbit, but all of that changed one fateful day when a message arrived for him. The message was a simple hologram, but the words it carried weren't anything but simple. It informed Alex that he was the human heir to the throne of King Zoreth, the ruler of the galaxy's largest empire. At first, Alex thought it was some kind of mistake. He even laughed at the idea, thinking it was a prank. But the message was clear. Zoreth had chosen him, and it was time for him to claim his inheritance. Alex was stunned. He wasn't a king, nor did he want to be one. He had no idea how to rule an empire, let alone how to govern beings from 100 different worlds. But the message left no room for doubt. He was the chosen heir. No one had expected it, and no one seemed happy about it. But there was no denying the truth. He was now the ruler of an empire that spanned the galaxy. The message also came with an important note. 4 alien princesses, each from a different race, would serve him as advisors. These princesses had been chosen by King Zoreth to help guide the new ruler. They were powerful, intelligent, and fierce. But would they accept a human as their ruler? Alex had many questions. Why had King Zoreth chosen him? What did he need to do as the new ruler? And most importantly, how would these princesses react to being led by a human? He didn't know where to start. But one thing was clear. His life was about to change forever. The universe was about to find out if humanity could truly stand among the stars. Soon, a ship arrived to take Alex to the heart of the galaxy, where the Empire's capital lay. The journey was long, and as he sat in his small cabin, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of nervousness. He had never been to space like this before. He had never ruled anything, let alone an entire galaxy. But as the stars passed by outside his window, he tried to calm his mind. He would face whatever came next. The ship finally arrived at the capital, a grand city on a planet known as Voltoria. The city stretched out beneath him, its tall towers reaching into the sky. It looked like something out of a dream. Massive, elegant, and filled with alien species from all over the galaxy. Alex's heart pounded in his chest. He was no longer just a man from Earth. He was the heir to one of the most powerful empires the galaxy had ever seen. The moment Alex stepped off the ship, he was greeted by the princesses who had been assigned to him. Each one of them was stunning in their own right, their alien beauty impossible to ignore. They bowed before him, their expressions a mix of curiosity, skepticism, and respect. One of them, Princess Kalara, spoke first. "Welcome, human hair. We have been waiting for you." Alex nodded, still in shock. "I don't understand why I was chosen," he said quietly. "I'm just a technician." Kalara's smile was small but kind. "Perhaps you have qualities that even you do not yet understand, Your Highness. We will help you find them." With that, the princesses led him into the palace, where Alex's new life would begin. The challenges ahead were unknown, but one thing was certain. Alex was no longer just a man from Earth. He was the ruler of an empire, and the fate of the galaxy was now in his hands. The galaxy was filled with ancient empires, each one more powerful and advanced than the next. Earth, with its small population and chaotic history, was barely a blip in the grand scale of things. To the beings of the galaxy, humans were nothing more than a curiosity. A young, struggling species with no real future in the vast universe. But all that was about to change. At the center of this story was a king unlike any other, the ruler of a vast interstellar empire that stretched across several star systems. His name was King Zoreth, and his reign had lasted centuries. He had seen the rise and fall of civilizations, fought countless battles, and earned the respect of many alien species. But as age took its toll, Zoreth knew it was time to choose a successor. And so, in his final days, he made a decision that would shock the galaxy. King Zoreth's will was unlike any before it. He did not choose one of his own children to inherit his empire, nor did he pass the throne to a trusted general or political ally. Instead, Zoreth named a human, Alex, a young man from Earth, as the one to inherit his entire empire. When the news spread across the galaxy, it was met with disbelief. The princesses of 4 mighty alien races, each with their own royal bloodlines and centuries of history, could not contain their laughter. How could a human, a species they had long dismissed as insignificant, possibly inherit the great legacy of King Zoreth? "These earthlings have no place in the stars," said Princess Kalara, the fierce leader of the Terix Empire, her golden eyes flashing with amusement. "They are barely more than children." Princess Lysandra, the elegant ruler of the Virethian race, nodded in agreement. "The very idea is laughable. A human as an emperor. It's an insult to all that we've built." The other 2 princesses, each representing their own alien empires, shared similar thoughts. They laughed together, confident that Earth would not be able to handle the responsibilities of ruling an intergalactic empire. But despite their laughter, they were not ignorant of the power that King Zoreth had amassed. The empire he ruled over was vast and full of wealth, technology, and influence. Even though the princesses found the idea of a human ruler ridiculous, they knew they couldn't ignore the will of a king as powerful as Zoreth. "We must go to Earth," Princess Kalara said, her voice cold and determined. "It is our duty to ensure that the human hair does not ruin what Zoreth built. We will guide him, or, if necessary, remove him from the throne." The decision was made. The 4 princesses, each beautiful, deadly, and proud in their own right, would travel to Earth to meet the human hair. But none of them expected what they would find. Alex had never imagined anything like this happening to him. He was just a normal human living a quiet life on Earth, unaware that he was about to become a figure of galactic importance. His family had always been poor, struggling to survive in a world filled with hardship. But everything changed when a mysterious messenger arrived at his door. The message was simple: "You are the rightful heir to King Zoreth's empire." At first, Alex thought it was a prank or some kind of scam. But when the evidence was presented, the king's personal seal, the ancient documents, and the strange symbols that only his bloodline could decipher, he realized it was real. The news shocked him. How could someone from Earth, a planet seen as weak and backward, be the heir to such a powerful empire? Alex had no military training, no political experience, and no idea how to rule an interstellar kingdom. He was a regular guy, struggling with the challenges of life on Earth. But the more he thought about it, the more he realized that this was an opportunity. An opportunity for him, for Earth, and for humanity as a whole. Maybe the galaxy had underestimated humans, but Alex wasn't about to let that continue. He had something the princesses and the rest of the galaxy didn't understand. The ability to think outside the box, to solve problems in ways no one else could. As the princesses prepared to depart for Earth, their minds were filled with thoughts of how easy it would be to deal with a human heir. They had no doubt that Alex would be out of his depth. After all, what did a human know about ruling an empire? But what the princesses didn't know was that Alex wasn't like the people they had mocked for so long. He was about to show them that even the most underestimated species could rise to the occasion, and that Earth had a hidden strength that no one could ignore. The princesses boarded their ships, their eyes still filled with disbelief. They would soon meet the human heir and decide his fate, but deep down, they all felt a growing sense of curiosity. Could this human really be the key to something greater? As their ships left the planet, the stars ahead seemed a little less distant, and the future a little more uncertain. What would happen when Earth's forgotten heir met the galaxy's most powerful princesses? The answer was soon to come. The princesses' journey to Earth was filled with uncertainty. As their ships cruised through space, each princess was lost in her thoughts. None of them could understand how a human could inherit the vast empire of King Zoreth. Earth had always been seen as a backwater planet, with no history of greatness or power. The idea of a human ruling an empire that stretched across galaxies seemed absurd. But as they neared Earth, a feeling of unease began to settle in. The planet, small and blue, seemed insignificant from a distance. Yet there was something about it that made the princesses feel a strange sense of tension. Was it the legend of the human king that had come before them, or was it something more? Princess Kalara, the fiercest among them, clenched her fists. This is a mistake. I won't allow some human to ruin Zoreth's legacy. We'll guide him, show him the power of the galaxy, and put him in his place. Princess Lysandra, the calm and calculating one, glanced at her. We mustn't act in haste. Let's see what this human heir has to offer. We'll deal with him after we learn more about him. The princesses' ships entered Earth's atmosphere, their sleek, advanced vessels cutting through the clouds with ease. They landed in a secluded area near a small human city. The moment they stepped out, they were struck by how ordinary everything looked. The buildings were nothing like the towering, advanced structures they were used to. The air smelled different, raw, natural. The people were simple, unrefined by the standards of the galactic civilizations. But it was also beautiful. The landscape was filled with lush forests, tall mountains, and vast oceans. Earth was a planet full of life, and it felt alive in a way the princesses had never experienced before. There was something about the planet's energy that made them feel small. Alex, the human heir, awaited them in a simple building that could hardly be called a palace. It was a far cry from the grand halls the princesses were used to. But as they entered, they found Alex standing tall, his posture confident yet calm. His eyes, though young, held a sense of wisdom that the princesses could not ignore. I was expecting you, Alex said with a slight smile, though there was no trace of fear in his voice. He spoke with the calm assurance of someone who had already faced difficult challenges and overcome them. Princess Kalara stepped forward, her arms crossed. You may have inherited Zoreth's empire, but don't think for a second that we will allow you to rule unchallenged. Earth is not even worthy of standing alongside the great empires of the galaxy. How could someone like you lead them? Alex met her gaze without flinching. You're right. Earth has never been a part of the galactic order, but we're not without value. We have our own strengths, our own ideas. Maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needs right now. The princesses exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond. Alex's words were simple, yet there was something about them that made them pause. They had come here expecting to find a weak, inexperienced leader. Instead, they found someone who seemed confident in his own abilities, someone who believed in the potential of his people. "We've heard the stories of Zoreth's reign," Princess Lysandra said softly. "But we've also heard the whispers. His empire was not without its flaws. There were ancient technologies, lost knowledge, and secrets hidden away. Do you know about them?" Alex's expression changed. His gaze darkened, as if he were thinking about something long buried. "I know some things. Things my family didn't even realize they were guarding. Earth has been hiding its own secrets for centuries. Maybe that's why Zoreth chose me. He knew I would understand what's at stake." Princess Calera raised an eyebrow. "You expect us to believe that Earth has something the galaxy doesn't already know?" Alex nodded. "I do. The people of Earth may not have had the time or the resources to explore the stars like you, but we've had something just as valuable: creativity. The ability to solve problems, adapt, and think outside the box. You'll see soon enough." The princesses, though skeptical, could not dismiss the conviction in Alex's voice. It was unlike anything they had expected from a human. The idea that Earth had hidden knowledge, ancient technologies that the galaxy had overlooked, was intriguing. It was clear now that Alex wasn't just an ordinary human. Over the next few days, the princesses spent time with Alex, learning more about his planet. They saw how humans had adapted to their environment, creating inventions that, though primitive by galactic standards, were surprisingly efficient. There were ideas and concepts that were entirely new to them, and in some ways, they were more advanced than anything the princesses had ever seen. The way humans could turn seemingly insignificant materials into powerful tools was something the princesses found both strange and impressive. As the days passed, the princesses realized that Alex was not the weak, naive ruler they had expected. He had a quiet strength, a deep understanding of how the universe worked, and most importantly, he believed in humanity. And as they spent more time with him, they began to understand something else. That perhaps, just maybe, Earth had more to offer the galaxy than anyone had ever believed. But would the princesses accept this new truth? Or would their pride and arrogance prevent them from seeing the potential of a planet they had long mocked? Only time would tell. The days on Earth had passed in a blur of strange discoveries and growing respect. The princesses, who had initially seen Alex as nothing more than a naive human, began to see him in a different light. He was not like any ruler they had ever met. He was calm, confident, and, above all, adaptable. Alex had shown them that humanity was far more capable than they had ever imagined. But despite this, there were still those who believed humans were not fit to lead the galaxy. Among these individuals was Vornak, a warlord who had once been a trusted ally of King Zoreth. Vornak was a powerful leader in his own right, controlling vast armies and warships. He was known for his ruthlessness and unyielding desire for power. And now, with the news of Alex's ascension to the throne, Vornak saw an opportunity to challenge the young human and seize control for himself. The warlord's forces were already on the move, his ships ready to launch an attack on Earth. He had no intention of allowing the human to rule an empire that had once been in the hands of the mighty King Zoreth. To Vornak, Alex was a weak, untested ruler who would be easy to defeat. As news of the approaching threat reached Alex, he knew that the time had come to prove himself. The princesses, despite their growing respect for him, were still uncertain. They had not faced a challenge like Vornak before, and they knew that this battle would test not only their strength but their ability to work together. "This warlord is no fool," Princess Calera said, her voice cold and calculating. "He has the power to destroy entire fleets with a single command. If we're going to stop him, we'll need to work quickly and efficiently." Princess Lysandra nodded. "We must act before Vornak launches his attack. If he takes Earth, it will be a disaster for the entire empire." But Alex was calm. He had spent hours studying the warlord's tactics and strengths, learning as much as he could from the ancient texts and knowledge hidden on Earth. He understood that the galaxy's advanced technologies were powerful, but they were also predictable. Humans, on the other hand, had the ability to think differently, to outsmart their enemies when it seemed impossible. "We need to use what we have," Alex said, his voice steady. "We may not have the firepower that Vornak does, but we have something just as important. Strategy. We can outthink him." Princess Calera raised an eyebrow. "Strategy. Do you really think you can match him in battle?" "I don't plan to fight him the way he expects," Alex replied. "We'll lure him into a trap." The princesses were skeptical, but they knew better than to underestimate Alex at this point. He had proven time and time again that he was capable of thinking beyond the usual limits. They agreed to follow his lead, though with some reluctance. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Alex and the princesses worked together to prepare for the coming battle, while the princesses helped rally the forces loyal to King Zorith. Alex turned his attention to Earth's hidden assets, ancient technologies and forgotten weapons that the galaxy had long since overlooked. He knew that if they were going to stand a chance against Vornak, they needed every advantage they could get. As Vornak's fleet approached Earth, Alex put his plan into motion. The first step was to send out false signals, luring Vornak's ships into a seemingly vulnerable position. The warlord, eager to strike down what he thought was an easy target, fell for the bait. His fleet descended upon Earth, confident in their victory. But when they arrived, they were met with a surprise. The skies above Earth were filled with powerful energy shields, and hidden weapons from the ancient Earth technologies came to life. Vornak's ships were caught off guard, unable to make sense of the sudden defense. For the first time in a long while, Vornak felt a sense of uncertainty. "What is this?" Vornak growled as he watched his forces struggle against the unexpected defenses. This was not in the plan. Alex stood on the surface of Earth, overseeing the battle from a hidden command center. He had expected Vornak to underestimate humanity, and now that very arrogance was working against him. As the warlord's fleet grew disoriented, Alex gave the signal to the princesses and their allies. The real battle was just beginning. With lightning speed, Alex coordinated a series of ambushes, targeting key warships and cutting off Vornak's escape routes. The princesses, though still skeptical about Alex's leadership, couldn't deny the effectiveness of his plan. They fought side by side with him, using their advanced weaponry to take down Vornak's ships, but it was Alex's cunning that was leading the charge. In the heat of battle, Alex's calm demeanor never wavered. He gave orders with precision, always thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. The warlord's forces, despite their size and strength, were no match for the strategic mind of a human who understood how to turn the tables in their favor. Vornak, realizing that his plans were falling apart, called for a retreat. His fleet, battered and confused, began to pull back. But Alex wasn't about to let him go so easily. With a final push, Alex and the princesses cornered Vornak's flagship, forcing the warlord to surrender. As the battle ended, the princesses stood in awe of Alex's leadership. They had doubted him at first, but now they saw the truth. Humans were capable of far more than anyone had ever given them credit for. Vornak's defeat was a victory not just for Alex, but for Earth and the entire galaxy. "Perhaps there is more to humanity than we thought," Princess Lysandra said, a hint of respect in her voice. Alex smiled, but his eyes remained focused on the horizon. This was just the beginning. The galaxy would never laugh at Earth again. After the defeat of Vornak and his fleet, a sense of calm settled over Earth. The princesses, still in awe of Alex's clever tactics, began to see him not just as a ruler, but as a leader who had the potential to unite worlds. Even though they were still unsure of how Earth could stand beside the great galactic empires, the victory over Vornak was a powerful statement. But Alex knew that this battle was just the beginning. Vornak had been a major threat, but there were others, more powerful, more ruthless. The galaxy was full of those who would challenge his rule, and Alex understood that his enemies would not rest until he was overthrown. If humanity was to stand tall among the stars, They would need more than just clever strategies. They would need unity. In the aftermath of the battle, Alex called for a meeting with the princesses. He knew it was time to take the next step in his journey. It was not just about surviving anymore. He had to build something lasting, something that would bring the galaxies together. "I know we've won a battle," Alex began, his voice steady. "But we've only proven that we can fight. What we need now is something greater, an alliance. We need to unite the different races, the different worlds, to build a future where Earth is not just an outsider, but a leader." Princess Kalara crossed her arms, her eyes sharp. "An alliance? You think you can convince the galaxy's leaders to follow a human? They will never accept it." Princess Lysandra, more thoughtful than the others, spoke up. "Kalara, we have to admit that Alex has a point. If we are to build a future together, we need to start working with the other empires, not just against them." Alex nodded, encouraged by Lysandra's words. "I'm not asking for a throne. I'm asking for a place at the table. Earth's voice deserves to be heard. The galaxy needs change, and that change will come when we stop seeing each other as enemies. We need to work together to make this empire stronger, for all of us." The princesses were silent for a moment, considering his words. They had seen Alex's strength in battle, but they hadn't yet considered his vision for the future. Could it be possible that a human, a species they had long ignored, could truly bring about a new era of peace and cooperation? "What do you suggest?" Princess Kalara asked, her tone softer than before. "I'll start with the leaders of the largest empires," Alex replied. "We'll meet with them, show them that Earth has something valuable to offer, whether it's our strategies, our creativity, or simply the belief that we can build something better if we work together." Princess Lysandra's gaze softened. "You really believe in this, don't you?" "I do," Alex answered. "I know it won't be easy. There will be resistance, but if we can show them the strength of Earth's will, they'll have no choice but to listen." The princesses agreed to support Alex's plan, though they remained cautious. They had seen the way the galaxy's leaders operated, and they knew that many would not welcome a human, especially one from Earth, trying to unite the empires. But they also knew that the galaxy could not continue as it was. Change was needed, and perhaps Alex was the one to bring it about. In the weeks that followed, Alex traveled with the princesses to various empires, meeting with leaders and presenting his vision. At first, there was skepticism. Many of the leaders were quick to dismiss the idea of Earth as an equal partner in the galactic order. They saw humans as untested, too young, too naive to understand the complexity of interstellar politics. But Alex didn't back down. He showed them the strength of Earth's resolve, the ingenuity of its people, and the power of their unity. He spoke of a future where different races could come together, share knowledge, and create a lasting peace. Slowly, his message began to take root. Princess Kalara, who had been the most skeptical, watched as Alex's words began to sway even the toughest leaders. One by one, the galactic empires began to agree to an alliance, tentatively at first, but it was a start. "Maybe there's more to this human after all," Kalara admitted, a rare hint of respect in her voice. The princesses continued to aid Alex, using their influence to help him navigate the difficult negotiations. But it wasn't just diplomacy that won the day. It was Alex's vision. He had a way of making the impossible seem possible, of uniting even the most fractured worlds with his words and his actions. As the first tentative agreements were signed, Alex felt a sense of accomplishment. But he knew that this was only the beginning. There was still much to be done. Many of the galaxy's empires were still suspicious, still unwilling to accept Earth as a true partner. But Alex wasn't giving up. He had learned from the past, from his people's struggles, and he would not let the opportunity slip away. Earth's place in the stars was no longer just a dream. It was becoming a reality. As Alex looked out at the stars, his heart filled with hope. The galaxy was full of challenges, but it was also full of possibilities, and Earth was ready to take its place among them. With each new alliance, Earth's influence in the galaxy grew. Alex's efforts were beginning to show results, and the princesses continued to stand by his side. They had once thought of him as just a human ruler, but now they saw him as the key to a better future. His words inspired not only the leaders of other worlds, but also the people of Earth, who had never imagined they would play such an important role in the galaxy. However, not all was peaceful. For every leader who supported Alex's vision, there were others who saw the rise of Earth as a threat. The ancient enemies of King Zorith, those who had once been part of the Empire, began to stir. They had watched Alex's rise from the shadows, and they did not like what they saw. These enemies had been waiting for the right moment to strike, and they knew that if they didn't act soon, they would be left behind in the new order of things. One such enemy was the Draxians, a race of fierce warriors known for their brutality and cunning. They had been part of Zorith's empire before it fell apart, and they had always believed that only strength and fear could rule the galaxy. The idea of a united, peaceful galaxy under a human leader was something they would never accept. They saw Alex as weak, a puppet whose strings were being pulled by the princesses and others around him. The Draxian leader, Commander Salar, had spent years building up a network of spies and loyal followers. His forces were hidden, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And now, with Earth's growing power, he knew the time had come. He began sending secret messages to other disgruntled factions, convincing them that Alex's reign would spell the end of their way of life. Back on Earth, Alex was unaware of the gathering storm. His focus was on the alliances he had made, hoping that the galaxy was finally on the path to lasting peace. He had heard whispers of unrest from some quarters, but he had been too busy with his diplomatic efforts to take them seriously. The princesses, though, had begun to sense that something was wrong. "We've made a lot of progress," Princess Lysandra said one evening, her expression serious. "But I fear there are forces in the galaxy who won't allow this peace to last. We must be ready for whatever comes next." Alex nodded, though a shadow of doubt crossed his face. "I know, but I believe that we can make this work. If we stand united, nothing can break us." Kalara, always the skeptic, frowned. "The galaxy has always been divided by power, not peace. Don't fool yourself into thinking that everyone will want to play nice just because you want it. We don't need everyone," Alex said, his voice firm. "We need enough people to make the difference, and we have allies who believe in what we're doing." The princesses were silent, knowing Alex had a point, but deep down they all understood that the galaxy's peace was fragile. The Draxians were only one of many threats that could tear it apart. A few days later, their fears were confirmed. Earth's communication systems picked up a signal, a coded message from one of Alex's old allies. The message warned of an impending attack by the Draxians and their allies. The message spoke of a growing coalition, one that was determined to crush the fragile alliances Alex had worked so hard to build. The princesses gathered with Alex in a secure room, the weight of the news sinking in. "So it's begun," Kalara said grimly. "We knew they wouldn't just sit back and let us take control. What can we do?" Alex asked, his voice strained with concern. "We've made so many enemies. How can we fight them all?" Princess Lysandra stepped forward. "We won't fight everyone at once. The Draxians are skilled warriors, but they lack the unity that we've built. We have to strike before they have time to organize fully." "We'll need more allies," Alex said. "We've made good progress, but we're not ready to face a war like this yet." Princess Kalara nodded. "We'll need to strengthen our defenses, and we'll need to act quickly. The Draxians won't give us time to prepare." The group began to plan, each of them thinking about the best way to protect Earth and its new allies. Alex knew that he could no longer afford to be just a diplomat. He had to be a leader who could inspire not only peace, but also strength when necessary. The princesses helped him devise a strategy that would allow them to counter the Draxian threat while keeping their alliances intact. As the days passed, Alex worked tirelessly, meeting with his allies and preparing for the coming war. Earth's forces were small compared to the galactic empires, but they were fierce and determined. The human spirit, which had once been laughed at, was now something the galaxy could not ignore. The Draxians, on the other hand, were preparing for war as well. Commander Xalar had gathered his forces and was moving toward Earth, confident that he could crush Alex's new empire with one swift blow. But what he did not understand was that Alex had something the Draxians could never take away: the loyalty of his people. As the first signs of conflict began to appear on the horizon, Alex stood with the princesses, looking out over Earth. It was a moment of quiet before the storm, and Alex knew that this would be the greatest challenge of his life. But he was ready. The galaxy might have underestimated humanity, but they were about to see just how far Earth would go to protect its future. The time had come. Alex stood at the helm of Earth's defense fleet, his heart steady but his mind racing. The Draxians, led by Commander Xalar, were closing in on Earth. The alliances Alex had worked so hard to build were now at risk. Every decision he made would affect not only Earth but the future of the galaxy. The stakes had never been higher. The princesses stood beside him, their faces grim but determined. They had seen wars before, but this was different. This was a war not just for survival, but for the hope of a peaceful future. The galaxy's history was filled with bloodshed, and many of its people believed peace was impossible. But Alex had proven that it was possible, if they fought for it. "Alex," Princess Kalara said, her voice low, "we've prepared the best we can. The fleet is ready, but we still don't know how strong the Draxians really are. We might be outnumbered." Alex turned to face her, his eyes full of resolve. "We may be outnumbered, but we're not outmatched. We have something the Draxians don't: unity. The strength of all our alliances is behind us, and we have the human spirit, something they will never understand." Lysandra placed a hand on his shoulder, her expression soft but filled with pride. "You've brought us this far. We will stand with you, no matter what happens." Alex took a deep breath and looked out over the fleet. The stars seemed to shimmer in the distance, as though they were watching. He knew that this battle would be remembered for generations to come. It wasn't just about defeating an enemy. It was about proving that peace and unity could prevail, even in the face of overwhelming odds. "Everyone is counting on us," Alex said. "We fight not just for Earth, but for a future where all of us can live together, in peace." The battle began at dawn. The Draxian fleet, vast and menacing, emerged from the darkness of space. The first waves of attack came quickly, and the sound of war echoed through the command stations as the two fleets clashed. Alex's heart raced, but his mind stayed focused on the task ahead. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. The battle was fierce, with the Draxians using their advanced weapons to strike hard and fast. But Earth's fleet, though smaller, fought with a determination that caught the Draxians off guard. The princesses fought alongside Alex's forces, using their own skills and technology to counter the Draxian onslaught. Kalara led a squadron of elite fighters, while Lysandra commanded the fleet's largest warships, each a symbol of the strength of their new alliance. The Draxians were relentless, but Alex's strategy was proving effective. He had known that the key to victory wasn't just in firepower. It was in knowing how to outsmart the enemy. His ships moved in patterns that confused the Draxians, forcing them to make mistakes. Earth's fleet used its agility and speed to strike where the Draxians least expected, throwing them off balance. But as the battle wore on, the Draxians grew more desperate. Commander Xalar, watching from his flagship, realized that the human forces were not as weak as he had thought. They were using tactics he had never encountered before, and it was clear that Alex had something his people could never overcome: creativity. The Draxians' raw strength could win battles, but it couldn't win a war like this. "Prepare the final assault," Xalar ordered, his voice filled with fury. "We will crush them. No more games." Just as the Draxians prepared to unleash their final attack, Alex saw an opening. He knew that this was his chance to end the battle once and for all. He gave the order for the Earth fleet to regroup, pulling back just enough to create the perfect trap. The Draxians, eager for victory, charged forward, unaware of the trap they were walking into. With a single command, Alex initiated the final phase of his plan. Earth's fleet turned, launching a devastating counterattack that caught the Draxians in the midst of their own offensive. The Draxians' ships, disoriented and vulnerable, were struck with precision. The fleet that had once seemed unstoppable began to fall apart, one ship at a time. Commander Xalar, realizing his forces were being overwhelmed, tried to call for retreat, but it was too late. Earth's forces, led by Alex, closed in from all sides, trapping the Draxians in a circle of fire. With a final, coordinated strike, the last of the Draxian fleet was destroyed. As the battle came to an end, Alex stood at the command station, watching the debris of the fallen ships drift into space. The cost of the battle had been high, but the victory was theirs. The galaxy had seen humanity at its best, resilient, determined, and united. The princesses approached Alex, their expressions filled with a mixture of relief and pride. Kalara spoke first. "You did it, Alex. You showed the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Lysandra nodded. "We fought for more than just survival. We fought for the future." Alex smiled, but it was a tired smile. "This battle is over, but the work isn't done. We have to rebuild, and we have to keep moving forward. This is just the beginning." The princesses stood beside him, knowing that Alex's vision for the galaxy was more than just a dream. It was becoming a reality. Earth had earned its place among the stars, and together they would continue to build a future where peace and unity could thrive. As Alex looked out at the stars once more, he knew that the path ahead would not be easy. But with the alliances they had forged, with the strength they had shown, he was certain of one thing: Earth's place in the galaxy was secure, and the future would be theirs to shape.